As I emerged into the terrace, I heard Bea below call out for Ethan as she ran towards the bathroom. I didn't slow down, though. I turned and booked it down the hallway. I could see him waiting at the end, but he turned again down another corridor once I got too close. "What's going on?" I heard Ethan ask Bea in a frantic tone. However, their voices quickly faded as I delved deeper into the unforgiving dark tunnel. I followed him down several twists and turns until finally he halted in a doorway that led into another room. Once I was a few feet away, I stopped, and we simply stared at each other. He grinned inhumanly, as if he didn't truly comprehend the emotion he displayed, but was only doing so for appearance. "Hey, brother. It's been a while." I didn't say anything. I just stared, analyzing his every movement. He had none. He was utterly still. No breathing, no blinking, not even a sway in his body. He was a motionless statue. "Something wrong. You look like you've seen a ghost." What are you?" He cocked his head to the side as if he didn't understand the question, or as if it was a dumb one. He didn't even return an answer. Instead, he echoed words that had haunted me for a long time. "Just stop. I don't really care to hear what you have to say." I winced, and a pit formed in my stomach. I didn't want to hear this again. I had heard it enough in my head when my mind replayed the scene over and over. My hair stood on end, though, when against my will, the scene continued. He opened his mouth, and in my own voice I heard, "Please, man. I'm not trying to defend myself. I just need you to know how sorry I am." He continued the conversation in his own tongue once more. "If you're sorry, then why? Why would you do it? Even after you had the chance to stop, why?" I don't know, I remembered that response, well, if it could even be called that. It was pathetic. I couldn't even give a reason. "Look, it doesn't matter, I can't, Joel. I don't know if I can talk to you anymore." It hurt all over again to hear that sentence twice. "You don't mean that. I can make this up to you, I swear. Stop, please. My mental capacity is at its limit. I just need time to think. Please don't try to contact me anymore. If I want to talk, I'll come to you, okay?" He turned down into the doorway and went to leave. But before he did, he looked back and uttered the last sentence I had heard him say. "I still care about you so much, Joel. That's why it hurts so much more." I stood frozen as he disappeared into the darkness. I felt so weak, my legs shook, and my head churned violently with vertigo, and I looked down at the floor. Things were about to get much worse, however. The ground below me was a familiar carpet, a style I had seen long, long ago. There was nothing truly of note about it, just old brown, mouldy carpet. The only reason I remembered it is because of the bloodstain. A familiar trail that had been Daniel and my guide our first night into the basement. Andy's blood. The other half that had been cut off in the doorway so long ago at the top of the house. And now it continued all the way down here. My dizzy mind stumbled to pick up the shattered thoughts and pieces, trying to collect them all together. The blood trail, the hotel hallway that turned into a hospital, and Larry's last words. Your room is looking for you. I let myself tumble to the ground as I felt the seam where the carpet met the tile in the doorway. How had I been so blind? How had I not pieced it together before? This place was never conventional, and all the red flags were right in my face. All of the distance we had walked, all of the time we had spent mapping, the whole mission we had set out to accomplish was pointless, because this place couldn't be charted. The rooms were moving. Shock held me for a moment before a new emotion began to bubble up within me. One I hadn't let take a hold in a very long time. Rage. Tears pulled in my eyes as I ripped my backpack from my shoulders, tore the zipper open and lobbed my collection of maps onto the floor. One by one I pulled them open and furiously ripped at the pages within, letting the useless scraps form into a heap around me. He had led me here on purpose. He knew I had figured out his charade and wanted one last dig at me. Beat me down and crush my soul. My heart tore with every single page of hard work. Not only was all of our progress in vain, but now so was Daniel's sacrifice. He gave his life believing that we could finish that map and get everyone home. Not only was that dream a lie, but now my friends and I were stranded miles below the surface in a dark abandoned tangle with no idea where to go. For all I knew, we could have been running around in circles as the rooms shifted eternally around us. Behind me I heard footsteps approaching, but I continued to hack away at the notebooks. When Ben and Ethan finally rounded the corner, I heard them call out. Joel, what the heck, man? Don't ever run off like that. Bear suddenly realized what I was doing and let out a gasp, rushing forward and grabbing my arms in an attempt to stop me. Joel, what are you doing? Stop! I tried to brush her off, but the harder she restrained me, the more my anger simmered. It simmered down into pure despair. My tears turned into sobs as I grit my teeth. Ethan stepped forward. Joel, what's happening? Are you alright? I wiped my face, then shook my head, smacking a pile of scraps into the air. It doesn't matter. Bear and Ethan looked to one another. What doesn't matter? This. Any of it. Our whole trip down here was pointless. All the dead ends, all the months walking and running and hiding, all these damn pages. Joel, what are you talking about? Bear asked softly. The rooms, this place, it's all shifting. This one was one of the first places Daniel and I passed by. This blood trail was Andy's. Back at the top, remember? Ethan looked confused. Bear and I never passed a blood trail. I squeezed my eyes shut in pain. They lived not long after us, and the trail had already gone. That meant the rooms changed fast. Bear slumped back onto the floor and placed a hand on her head. Are you sure? Maybe it was just a coincidence. There could always be more blood trails. I mean, look at this place. I shook my head. Before Larry died, he told Daniel and me that our rooms were looking for us. Not long after, we ended up in Daniel's room. And there was that hallway. Bear, remember the one that changed? She shook her head in disbelief, but offered nothing else. I could see on her face that all the same revelations I had moments ago were coming to her. I began to fall back into despair alongside her, but Ethan quickly caught us. So what? I raised my head to look at him critically. Ethan, the map means nothing now. The whole point of us coming down here was to know how to lead everyone else back once we found the exit. We can still do that, though without the map. I mean, think about it. If we hadn't learned about this now, we would have figured it out eventually. Maybe once we had gone back and gotten everyone. In that case, we would have no other option than to just keep doing what we're doing now. What are you saying? I asked. I'm saying that all of this isn't for nothing. We just do what Andy did. We keep going and make sure there really is an exit. Then, once we know, we go all the way back, grab everyone else and make the trip again. But the point of the map was to get back as quickly as possible, Bess said into her knees. The longer we travel, the more we risk more people dying. Ethan nodded. I know, but at this point, I think we're running out of options. He crouched down, lowering to where we were. We knew this wasn't going to be easy. Guys, I know I did. Staying up in those 6 rooms would have been much easier, and yet we still charged down here into the dark. This is about more than our lives at this point. This place has taken so much from us. From people before us too. Even if just one of us makes it out, then we win. We beat whatever sick force brought us here. Maybe we can even figure out a way to tell people about it and not sound crazy. Find some way to save anyone else who may end up like us. Bear and I looked at him, and he smiled with pure confidence. He meant what he was saying, with all of his heart. Come on, there can't be much left. We can do this. I know we can. He held out a hand to me, and after a second I took it. Once he had helped Bear up, I spoke. Dude, that was real cheesy. Did you see that in a movie or something? I mean, that part about winning sounded straight out of a sports film. He laughed. Hey, that worked, didn't it? Those scriptwriters really know how to bring out the emotions, you know? Alright, Bear said. So what now? We just keep pushing on? If you guys are ready. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good now. Let's go. Hey, on the plus side, Joel.
At least you don't have to worry about drawing the map anymore.
Too soon, Beer. Too soon. The three of us walked forward with a newfound vigor, following the crimson stain on the carpet. While I had made fun of him for it before, Ethan was right about what he had said. We still had a job to finish, regardless of the new circumstances. We had decided that following the trail from Andy would most likely be the fastest way forward. Even though we knew the house was shifting, it was pretty clear by what she had said before she passed that Andy was hurt near the exit. That meant if we followed her trail, whether it led us there or not, it still might get us close. This stain lasted much longer than the first, winding through halls across large rooms and trailing down steps. I cringed at the thought of Andy slowly bleeding out as she desperately climbed for the surface. The trail slowly got thicker and more severe the further we went, most likely due to her slowly running out of blood. That thought also made me sick. There was another admittedly selfish reason that I wanted to follow the trail. Deep down, part of me really needed to know what had caused her injuries in the first place. I had so many cherished memories of Andy, and yet for all the good ones, the one that surfaced the most in my mind was the image of her dying in my arms, her pale, tired face, relieved to see us as she lay, lacerated and bleeding out. My mind went to so many dark places, trying to imagine what could have possibly cut her up so bad. After seeing what the ballerinas were capable of, I didn't know if I wanted to find out, but on the other hand, I knew that I needed the closure, for better or worse. Not having to stop and map helped the journey greatly, as now it really didn't matter if I remembered which way we had went or not. It would all change later, eventually. Each day we had lost nearly 2 hours of combined time just stopping to record, but now we were cruising. We delved down flight after flight, sometimes even running periodically. There were points, however, that we had to slow down and cover our mouths, though. Mold had always been a prevalent problem in all of the layers of the house, but these deeper sections, it seemed to be clumped on almost any surface it could gather. Carpet, drywall, ceiling panels, for the most part, it wasn't overly offensive, but some patches we went through were so bad that we were afraid breathing too much might have severe repercussions. When we passed down another flight of steps, we ended up at a hallway where a dark doorway sat waiting for us at the end. Next to it, another corridor went off to the right. We began making our way down, still following Andy's former path. When I started to think more about the circumstances before us, it's funny how some things that seem obvious in hindsight can be overlooked in such a stressful circumstance. Wait up, I told the others as we stopped before the doorway. The crimson trail led straight into its dark maw. We should go this way, I said, pointing down another open corridor. I thought we wanted to follow the blood, Ethan asked. I know, but something seems off about it. What do you mean? You don't think it's Andy's? Bear questioned. No, I do. But that's the problem. It took us months to get down here, and it would take us months to get back up, right? Yeah. Andy made it sound like she got hurt by the exit, and she was obviously bleeding out a lot. If that's the case, then there's no way she could have survived the trip back up before giving out. You're right, Ethan noted. So what do you think's happened then? How did she get back on? I thought about him and how he had led me to the trail again when I had followed him. Something about whatever he was knew more about the house than anything we had encountered so far, besides maybe the curator. I think the house let her get back up. I think it knew we would follow in her steps. Bear made a face of concern and confusion.
Oh, hang on. Is there something you're not telling us?
My eyes darted to the floor, and she immediately picked up on the cue.
The blood trail. You ran off and immediately knew where it was. How did you know, Joel?
I took a deep breath, then spoke. You know how you said you see your sister sometimes? You said she shows up and talks to you. Bear looked taken back, and her eyes nervously shifted to Ethan as if she was self-conscious of her secret being told.
Well, I mean, yes, I see her, but I don't know if
It's okay, Bear. I jumped in, realizing my insensitivity. I see someone too. She looked at me quizzically, and Ethan looked between us trying to catch up. Since we got here, I've seen an old friend of mine. He comes to me and does the same thing. At first I thought they were hallucinations, but it's been different ever since we came down here. He's told me things that my mind wouldn't have known on its own. And there was one time that I think I even physically touched him.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And when you told me about how you see it too, he was there smiling at me from the balcony like he knew I had figured it out. That he's more real than I thought. When I went to follow him, he led me to the trail. Ethan shook from the shock of what he was hearing and spoke up. So, what does that all mean then? Well, I started. I think it means there's something down here messing with us. And I don't know how, but I think it's somehow related to the house. There's a room for everyone, right? What if it's trying to lure as many of us out as it can to trap us? If it wanted to do that, then letting Andy come back and confirm there is a way out would be the best way to do so.
If that's the case, then isn't it possible there's no exit at all?
Bear said nervously. My heart faltered at the question. Maybe, but I don't know if she would have told us had she not been certain somehow. I looked back to the stain in the carpet at our feet. The point is, I think whatever it is, led me to the trail again to lure us somewhere. That's why I think we should go the other way. Bear and Ethan looked at each other silently, considering the options. After a moment, they looked back at me.
Yeah, I agree.
Me too. You guys sure? I really don't want to be wrong about this.
Of course.
Bear said with a smile.
And even if you're wrong, you've always got us to clean up the mess after.
That's good. I chuckled softly. I'm pretty good at making messes. Kia ora whanau. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. This is part 1 of part 16. Yes, I've broken it down again. This time not because it's a long one, but I just thought it was a good place to stop. My voice was starting to get a little bit weird. So we can get something out next week, I thought we'd call it here. I'm really not going to drag this one out. I hope you all have enjoyed it. That you have an amazing night or day wherever you are. Remember, be safe. And as always, I'm Grim, and I'm, well, signing off.